Hello Internet, it's Matt here for the Dork Lords. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk about all manner of dorkly things here, whether it's sci-fi, fantasy, superheroes. We probably have a playlist about it. Feel free to check us out. Today is another in our Dork Lord of the Rings segments. And today I'll be giving my quick reaction to episode 7 of the Rings of Power, The Eye. And as usual, I'll give a more in-depth breakdown of the episode with Paul later in the week. This week was a somewhat understandable step back from the frenetic action of episode 6. The show wanted to take the time to address the scope of the devastation caused by Orodruin's eruption. And as someone who grew up around horses, I was mildly triggered by seeing a horse on fire. Taffy, no! Anyway, that plus the shots of the burn victims in the infirmary was fairly grotesque. Of course, our main heroes survive. Even this show, with its cannon-breaking proclivities, wouldn't kill off Isildur this early. I'm guessing his horse will go find him as a nod to Aragorn and his horse in Jackson's trilogy. Muriel is blinded, at least temporarily, and that propels her to sail back to Numenor, promising to return, which should leave Isildur and his horse as the only remnant of the Númenórean expeditionary force left in Middle-earth. The title change at the end of the episode, from Southlands to Mordor, made me roll my eyes a little bit. Yeah, we get it. It's Mordor. Seemed heavy-handed and unnecessary to me. Despite the episode being called The Eye, we didn't get any closer to learning Sauron's identity or that of the strangers. Nothing in Halbrand's dialogue this week suggested that he's Sauron, but he is apparently heading to Eregion for healing just in time to lend some forging tips to Celebrimbor. So I'll be unsurprised, but a bit underwhelmed if he's revealed to be Sauron next week. Maybe Sauron's spirit is being kept in that seal he's carrying? He did say he stole it. Maybe he took it from the Sauron vessel that Adar killed back in the day. I'm also ready for the stranger-harfoot relationship to be resolved. I get it. Harfoots are on the flight side of the fight or flight response. They scare easy. But we keep seeing a repetition of the stranger's actions being misinterpreted, making the Harfoots fear him. This time, they ask him to magically repair the trees damaged by the eruption. He does so, but in the process, a branch breaks and almost lands on a Harfoot, so they send him away. At this point, it's been obvious for several episodes that he doesn't mean the Harfoots any harm, and it's less than compelling to watch the Harfoots slowly catch up to the audience. Now that they're actively looking for him, I hope that means they figured it out. Based on the stranger's nature-influenced powers this episode, I suppose Radagast has emerged as a possibility on the Strangerometer. I still enjoy the relationship between Elrond and Prince Durin, but this week's episode confused me. I'm not sure what the show is trying to say. By the show's premise, Mithril is needed to keep the elves in Middle-earth, so we're rooting for Prince Durin to go against his stubborn father and save the elves. But his stubborn father, the king, is 100% right. Digging will doom the dwarves, kill the king, and turn Khazad-dûm into a ghost town for over a millennium. So maybe the show's point is that there are no good choices? But I do think that we're meant to side with the prince. I'm guessing the king will die. The recently disinherited Prince Durin will be reinstated by his people, and he will proceed to doom his own people to save the elves. Listen to your dad. That's all I'm saying. And that brings me to easily the most controversial moment in this episode. Galadriel reveals that long ago, Celeborn left to fight Morgoth and never returned. She obviously assumes he's dead, and while he doesn't have the canon plot armor that Isildur does, I still think the series wouldn't go as far as killing off Celeborn, a recognizable figure from Lord of the Rings, before the events of this show. Reminder to myself, as much as you out there, this show is not canon. So be it. But even assuming Celeborn's still alive, this is yet another major deviation from canon, creating like a multiverse, alternate timeline version of the Second Age. Were Galadriel and Celeborn separated at this time? Yes, they were, but under very different circumstances. It's actually an intriguing scenario that I discuss in my Galadriel series. And notably, their daughter, Celebrian, was on the scene at the time. I'm sensing there's no daughter currently in the picture for this show. Galadriel has dedicated her quest for vengeance to her brother, Finrod. It's odd that she hasn't invoked Celeborn's name as well, or mentioned her husband at all for that matter. Feels like a sleight of hand on the part of the show, like they didn't want us to know Celeborn was in the backstory until now. And that brings me to a theory that I don't want to be true, but might be true. We know that in the show's canon, an elven knight once battled a Balrog atop Khazad-dûm, resulting in the creation of Mithril. Some have theorized that knight may have been Celeborn, and of course Celeb means silver in Elvish. Let's assume for a moment that might be true. He was the knight from the legend. And let's assume that he's still alive, which I think is a safe assumption. The show strongly implies that the Balrog, now awakened in Khazad-dûm, Durin's Bane, is the Balrog that fought the elf atop the mountain. So, if the Balrog was somehow imprisoned in the mountain, could that mean his opponent was also imprisoned? Celeborn is evidently alive, but hasn't been seen or made an attempt to be found. Why? Has the show trapped him in Moria? I hope not, but we are in a multiverse Middle-earth where characters' fates are up for grabs. Let me know what you think, but that's all I've got for now. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye!